today it is Saturday, which means it is parkrun day, and we are heading over for our first G to Grangemoor Parkrun. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you all you need to know about Grangemoor Parkrun, whilst also trying to achieve a new personal best time. So Grangemoor Parkrun is located to the south side of Cardiff in Wales, and it's located right near to Cardiff Bay. It is a 2-lap course, pretty flat one too, and it is all on hard standing tarmac paths, which is perfect for anyone wanting to use their road shoes. The course is within Grangemoor Park and it is in a T shape, but we will go through that a little bit later on. It is also good to know that the course is dog friendly and buggy/pram friendly too. Although they're fairly tight paths, there were dogs and prams on the day. However, in terms of toilets, there are no toilets on the site. However, nearby there is a McDonald's, Starbucks, Asda, where you can go to the loo before this park run. As I mentioned earlier, with it being a pretty flat park run, all on hard standing tarmac paths, there is the potential for a PB, as this is a very quick one. In terms of scenery, it's not really that scenic a park run. You do run alongside a river, but you can't see it for most of the run due to there being trees. So you're basically running on a tarmac path in between 2 sets of trees either side of you. But before we do go any further, if you don't know what a parkrun is, it is essentially a 5k run which is ran by a group of volunteers who both time and marshal the event. Once you get to the finish line, you'll be handed a finish token which you scan alongside your own barcode, and then you'll be sent your official time and position later on. So now you know what a parkrun is, let's take a look at a summary of the course. So as we said earlier, a 2-lapper, very flat, as you see in that top left hand corner, an elevation gain of 10 meters and a max elevation of 12 meters. There are 3 U-turns which you have to do, twice on 1 lap and 3 times on the other, and then it is a sprint finish to just under the bridge there on that south side. Now that we've had a look at a summary of the course, let's take a look at it in a bit more detail. So you're starting off here just north of the Grangemoor Park car park. You're going to make your way up north towards the Pure Gym, Cardiff Bay, Lidl, and then you do a U-turn once you hit this section here at the Bayden Scout Hall. You then make your way south back towards the centre of this park run before you turn off to the right this time, and you go along this straight. You're going to pass under the bridge for the railway, head towards the A4160 and do a second U-turn. Work your way back towards the centre and again turn off to the right and head your way back towards where you started. So you're going to pass that start line, head all the way down to the south and head towards the Grangemoor Park car park. You then do another U-turn here, head your way back towards where you started, and that is lap 1 complete. You then copy exactly what you have just done then, so it is a 2-lap course as we said, and then instead of doing the U-turn at the Grangemoor Park car park, you're going to head your way down to the A4232 bridge, and that finish line is literally located just under there. So it is a really simple course. You're not going to get lost. There's volunteers at each U-turn to turn you around, so you're not just going to run off into the distance, and it is a really quick one as you can see, and hopefully it is a chance for you to get your PB. So now you have an idea of what the course looks like, let's have a look at some of the parkrun records which have been set at Grangemoor Parkrun. So the fastest male ever was Dan Nash with a time of 15 minutes and 48 seconds. The fastest female being Olivia Sim with a time of 17 minutes and 14 seconds. I feel I've seen that name before at another park run, so maybe she's set quite a few records at a lot of these park runs, but both incredibly quick times. The average number of runners is about 155, which I'd probably say is about average for a park run, and the average time is 28 minutes and 10 seconds, so a pretty quick average time too. So those were some incredibly quick times, and now we're going to take a look at some of my GoPro stats from all the park runs which I've done. So the number of park runs I've done so far is 64, with a number of locations being 46. My best finish position was 4th set at Zieloni Jar in Poland, and my fastest times are listed below, but since injury my fastest time so far has been 23 minutes and 50 seconds, so that is the time that we are looking to beat today. So we made our way down to the start line. As you can see, it was a pretty busy start here at Grangemoor Parkrun. Grey skies, the weather conditions weren't great, however no rain, which is perfect. You can also see that there are pacers. I don't know if there's anyone in front of us, but there are pacers for every odd number, so I think it was from about 17 minutes or maybe 19 minutes and then 21 and so on and so on. So we're able to stand in the sort of position that you wanted to pace at, and we are about to get going now. So we are off The timer has started, and hopefully we can get a decent time. We're aiming for that 24-minute time, which was a little bit annoying because there was a 25-minute and a 23-minute pacer, so we were trying to sort of sit in between the two of them. But we started off fairly quickly, coming out of a pace of about 4:30, so that is a lot quicker than all of my previous runs. And as I said just a second ago, my fastest since injury was 23 minutes and 50 seconds, so that is the one to beat. But it's a flat start to begin with. Quite a lot of leaves on the course at the moment too, but it wasn't slippy at all, which is good news. And it's all on hard standing paths, so road shoes are perfectly fine. But here we go, passing that central point and heading to the northern side before doing our first U-turn. So we're about half a kilometre in, still on this hard standing path. It does probably go up ever so slightly here, but then this is the downhill. So this is the majority of the incline. I mean, the majority of the changing gradient is here. So that's the drop down, and you obviously get on the way back and have to come back up that. But we're currently running at a pace of 4:30 still, which is actually incredible. I've not run this in probably 7, 8, 9 months, or maybe even a year, to be honest. I don't think I've ran at this pace, so if we do manage to keep this up, that will be an incredible achievement, but I can't see that happening. You'll start to see in a moment too, on the left hand side, the person in first position coming on their way back. There they go, and then they're second and third. You can see a pacer just over there on that left hand side too. They've got their vests on with the times. But if you are enjoying this park run, do make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new. We try and get a park run video out every week, and hopefully some more running content coming soon. But here we go, here's the U-turn on that northern section. It gets quite busy, obviously the comb's knocked over, so the volunteers had to pick that up, but it does get busy around that first U-turn, but then it begins to spread out as the run goes on. So this is that little change of a gradient as we go up this slight hill to the top section again and heading our way back towards the middle. If you do want any more information on the gradient and my split times, then you can go and check out my Strava too, which is in the description below. But we're managing to run at a great pace right now. 4:30 is the pace that I'm running at around, and we've just hit 1 kilometre too, so that is a really good start. It probably is about 5.2 kilometres on Strava by the time we hit the end, so it's not 5 kilometres on my Strava this week, so we've got to make sure we take into account that final 200 metres. But what a start that has been from us. Hopefully we can just keep that up now. And now we are turning off to the right hand side. A couple of photographers there getting some photos on our way round. A great bunch of volunteers here too, cheering us on. Got the bells there and giving us that Christmas spirit. As we go down this section though, there was a slight smell of sewage. I don't know whether they've got a sewage treatment works or something nearby, but that was a little bit unpleasant. But for some reason throughout the run it did seem to go. It's probably because I started getting knackered and I didn't even focus on smelling anything. But we're currently at 1.3 kilometres, just over 5 minutes 14, coming towards 5:50. Some picnic benches there too if anyone wants to come along and watch, and hopefully we can keep this pace up because we're still going at about 4:30, 4:35. Now we are coming up towards the U-turn on the west leg. Now if you're quick on the left hand side there, that was the 23-minute pacer, and once I saw the 23-minute pacer not too far off where I was, I thought, you know what, we can try and maybe keep up with them a little bit. But we're still a bit behind them at the moment, a couple of seconds, so we would need to pick up the pace, but I don't want to go off too quickly and get absolutely knackered because I've only ran 23 minutes and 50 seconds since injury, so to actually get anywhere near 23 minutes would be incredible. Going for a couple of overtakes there, you can see it gets a bit congested with the overtakes, but after when it gets to lap 2 it's a lot more clearer, so you can slip past people a lot easier. Currently at 1.8k though, running a great split time. The first split was about 4 minutes and 27 seconds, so the second one's coming up a little bit quicker, so we'll have to see once we hit 2k. And we've just hit 2k. That split time was 4 minutes 22, so quicker than the first 1k, which is a madness. Don't know how I'm managing to keep up at this pace at the moment, but we still do have 3 kilometers left. Now we're back at that middle section, but this time we're going to turn off to the right hand side. You can see the elevation, that bottom right is barely changing. The only time it changes really is on that first leg, but we're now going towards the south section and to the final U-turn before coming back towards the start and completing lap 1. And we are just coming up towards the end of leg 3, and off to that right hand side is the finish funnel. The volunteers there cheering us on at the moment, but it's annoying because at every U-turn you sort of lose a couple of seconds trying to do the turn. It's a little bit muddier around here too and slightly slippier. I'll probably say it's at the bottom of the gradient, so that's probably the lowest point of this whole park run. I may be completely wrong on that, but it felt like that this section coming down here was going downhill, whereas now we're sort of pushing slightly uphill to get to the middle, go down the other side. It was sort of as if the middle bit was slightly higher than everywhere else, but not by much at all. But we're doing quite well. I was 11 minutes, just 11 and a half minutes coming up to, and we're still running at a pace of about 4:30. That first kilometre, like I said, was 4:27, then 4:22, and we're currently running at a pace of about 4:28. So if we can keep this up, this could be an incredible time for me, especially since injury, and I'll be happy to be back running at this sort of pace. You can see in front of us too that the 23-minute pacer is literally just there, so I'd actually caught up to the pack with the 23-minute pacer. So now maybe we can just try and slip behind him until the end. And that is 3 kilometers done. The purple t-shirt here with the 25 is beginning to slow down off of that pacer. Maybe he's struggling to keep up. But I was also thinking if I go too quickly now, I'm not going to be able to get to the end at this pace. So I also dropped back with him a little bit. We're now running at a pace of 4:28. So that third kilometre was done at 4:28. So we're still under that 4 minutes 30. But do remember that we need to add on that 200 extra metres at the end of this run. Well, 200 extra Strava metres. Let's say that. But we're heading now onto the other side. You can see the elevation's gone up to 13 metres, and then we'll drop down that little hill in just a second. And there we go. So we're back at the end of the long northern straight. The 23-minute pacer is just there on that left-hand side. And there we go, doing the U-turn and heading our way back up. At this point, the 25 purple t-shirt wished me good luck as I passed him there and headed to try and catch up with that 23-minute pace. So I was thinking if I can get 23 minutes or under, or even 23 minutes and a half, that would be an incredible time for me and I would be buzzing about it. So we'll have to see how we get on. But you can see the elevation has dropped back to that 9 metres. So we're going to go back up that hill, head towards the middle, turn off to the right, and then we've only got one more U-turn to go after that. And onto the west leg we go. 4 kilometres down, 1 kilometre to go. Well, about 1.2 kilometres to go in terms of Strava. That one was done with a time of 4 minutes and 32 seconds. So like I said, we peeled away from that 23-minute pacer, and it showed from that time as it goes a little bit slower than the previous ones. You can also see that the grey top man is struggling to keep up with 23-minute pacer too as he starts to pull away from him. The people on the left hand side are running their way towards the finish line and that final straight, but we have still got one U-turn to go. And there we go, the west straight is done. You saw the 23-minute pacer just running past us then. We seem to have dropped too far off of them to get under that 23-minute time, but if we can keep up this pace, it will be definitely my quickest since injury. I'm really pleased with how I am doing right now. 11 metres of elevation around this point. It seems to be fluctuating quite a lot as we slightly push our way up towards the centre again. Then we've just got to turn off to the right, and then it is a straight sprint finish. It is amazing though how much it does spread out throughout the park run. Like I'm running basically on my own now for the most of the rest of the run, if not the rest of the run. And you can see on that left hand side it's like 2 people and then a huge gap and then a couple of more people and stuff like that, whereas right at the start everyone's obviously clumped up together, but everyone's just got different paces, I suppose. And into the final straight we go. Quick bit of paparazzi as I am absolutely knackered. I can definitely feel it now in my legs and my breathing too. But we've just got this long straight to the finish line under the bridge. Currently at 4.9 kilometers. We ran that last kilometer in a time of 4:27. So we picked it up again, but we've still got that extra 200 meters to go. So it's about 250 meters left of this run, and then we're going to hit that finish line. And there's the finish in the distance. You can see that 23-minute pace has really pulled away now. So we're not going to get under that 23 minutes, but surely we can beat our 23-minute and 50-second time. There's the cones in the distance. We're going to start to pick up the pace now, running at a pace of about 4 minutes, which is incredible. Coming around this final bend and then under the bridge to the finish line. Got to be careful here that you're running through puddles. It's very muddy, but I just ran straight through. The final turn, what time are we going to get? We get a time there of 23 minutes and 9 seconds. I am flabbergasted. That is the quickest I have ran in so long, and that might even make it onto the leaderboard, which is incredible, especially bearing in mind I ran a time last week of 25 minutes. And I think it was 3 seconds, so it's a complete difference from last week. But now it's time to take a look at a summary of the course and through my leaderboard table. And there we go. So I'm absolutely buzzing about that time, the quickest since injury by a long run. And I've managed to tick off Mother G on the Alphabetia Challenge too. So a successful park run altogether. Another one of the achievements which I have managed to get to is the Staying Alive achievement. So I've got one of the G's of the 3 which you need. If you've got the 5k app, that will make some more sense to you. But as a summary for this course, I definitely say that it has a high PB potential. The 10 meters of elevation, you don't really feel it. Most of it is at the northern end of the park run after you've done the U-turn, but apart from that it is really flat and a really quick one, so definitely get down to Grangemoor if you're looking for a PB. In terms of how busy the park run is, as you can see from the video, it had a fairly busy start, but once it got to about 50-100 meters in, it did start to spread out a little bit and you were able to overtake. It was obviously a lot more difficult once they'd done the first U-turn because you had to stick to the right or the left hand side. However, when they had the pacers, it made it a lot easier for us this week because you were able to stand just behind the pace which you think you were going to achieve today. I do want to say a massive thank you again to all of the volunteers who were there on the day. The atmosphere was great at every U-turn and they had some music going on too and someone shaking some bells down in the middle section, so they were all good fun. But as we usually do, we go through a few pinch points for each park run as to why you may not get a PB, but this one does not have many. But one of the pinch points that definitely slows you down are the 3 U-turns. So you've also got the U-turns at the end of each of the straights. These definitely take a couple of seconds off your time, so maybe without the U-turns we could have got just under 23 minutes, but that is part of this park run, so can't really complain. And then the second pinch point, which is a little bit of a small pinch point because I've seen it a lot worse at other park runs, but it was fairly busy at the start, which meant that it bottlenecked and you couldn't really overtake to begin with, but it didn't take too much off your time because of the pacers this week. But I can see maybe on other weeks when there's no pacers that you may be unable to overtake people at the start and lose a couple of seconds there. But now it is time to take a look at a couple of tips and tricks for getting to this park run if you are thinking of attending. So we're going to start off with the public transport, and we always start off by train. So if you want to get there by train, you can get off at the Cogan station, and from there it is only a 24-minute walk to the start. So that is definitely an option and probably a lot better than most transports to the other park runs. And then the second mode of public transport you could take is the bus. So there are actually a few stops in and around the area, starting off with the Levy Drive, which bus 9 you can get to that stop, and it's about a 7-minute walk from there. Or there is the Brindley Road bus stop, which you can get buses 92 to 94, and from there is a 9-minute walk, and it's on the opposite side of the park. So there's quite a few different options if you want to get there by public transport. However, if driving is the only option of getting there is plenty of parking in and around the area. So that includes the Asda or Starbucks car parks, which are probably the closest of the two, but there are plenty more all around the area, including the IKEA, Pets at Home, Home Bargains, if you did want that extra little bit of distance for your warm-up to get to the park run. And then finally, the most important part of the run is the post-park run coffee. So where are you going to go at the end of this park run? So you have the options of the Coffee Co at Bayscape, the Costa in the retail part, but where I saw most people was that the Starbucks along Dunlevy Drive, and there's also Morrison's too. And I did see a lot of runners in the Starbucks, so I'd probably say that the majority of them do stop off there, as that is the closest coffee shop to the start of the park run. And then finally, the bit I've been waiting for most is looking at my post-park run stats. Now, these haven't changed in probably over a year, which is incredible because I've had an injury, and just every time that I've done a run, it's been really slow. I've been a bit disappointed about how slow I have been running, but we are back, and this is actually incredible. So the number of park runs has increased to 65 and 47 different locations, so we're almost at that half Cal club. My best finish distance still remains the same in Zaloni Jar. That one is going to be hard to beat. However, Grangemoor knocks off Riverfront in my top fastest times, so my top 5 here, and Grangemoor now sits in 5th place with a time of 23 minutes and 9 seconds, so it literally knocked it off by 1 second, which is absolutely incredible. And I do appreciate all the support on this park run content, as I do try and get closer to my Summerdale Pavilion time. That is the aim. If I can beat that, that will be an incredible comeback for myself. But that is going to be it for this park run, so I do hope you all enjoyed, because I definitely had a great time. So do make sure to smash that like button if you did, and subscribe if you are new. We're trying to get more park runs out every week to try and get to the top of that table, because that is literally right near the start. That's Summerdale Pavilion times. It'd be crazy if we managed to beat that at some point. But if you do enjoy this sort of content, you can go and check out last week's, which was at Southwick Country Park Park Run, where we tried to achieve a sub 25. Now, looking at the time that I got today, it is incredible looking back to see that I was trying to beat that time. Or you can go and check out all the other park runs in my worldwide park run playlist. So it's got all of them, including the ones from Poland, Norway, Finland, and much more. So in next week's park run, I'm not actually sure which one I'm going to attend yet, as Storm Dara is hitting the southwest of the UK, which isn't ideal. So a lot of them are being cancelled. So you'll have to find out in next week's video. But I hope you did all enjoy this one, and I'll see you all in the next one.